Do you know who the best road quarterback in the history of the NFL is in playoff history?
Joe Flacco, baby! Broadway Joe!
Look at what he did on Sunday. I mean, they have 4 of 5 offensive line starters out of the game.
He's also got pressure. He's throwing, and Njoku caught it, and he's got a first down! He's to the 35, 30, 25! He's down near the 20-yard line!
I would not want to play him in the first round. Excellent defense, excellent at home, great pass rusher.
Knock it down! The ball is intercepted! It's intercepted by the Browns!
Started to get some clarity about Coach of the Year. Number 1, Kevin Stefanski, Cleveland.
That's a hell of a win by that entire Browns organization.
They've got a very solid chance. They're 85%.
And I think they can win a playoff game. I would not want to face them in the first round. Cleveland 10.
This is an unbelievable ride, and I hope you're all enjoying it. This is an incredible ride.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. I hope that you and your families are having a wonderful time heading into the most wonderful day of the year. So happy to be here talking to you after another amazing, improbable Cleveland Browns win. Let's just open up on this and what I truly believe we just witnessed yesterday. So much through the season, there's been a lot of questions and answers, a lot of, is Stefanski the guy? Is this organization moving in the right direction? Is Jimmy Haslam a good enough owner to sustain this going forward? Is Andrew Berry making the right moves? Are his draft picks coming into fruition? Or are we going to look back and say that some of the guys we picked up aren't the right pieces? We have too many holes to sustain success heading into the future. I think that after that win yesterday, this organization is now in a position to truly change the page, to move on to a new chapter of relevancy for years to come because of all of the pieces that they've added, because of all of the depth that they've acquired with smart drafting and good free agent pickups as well of players who want to be here and be culture changers. There's so many positives. I just want to start first on David Njoku, a guy who for so many years faced a lot of criticism. We saw him forever being a raw athlete, a guy who had all of the tools, but not really the football skill to justify a major contract, to justify picking up a 5th-year option. A lot of people said he's not Kelsey, he's not Gronk, he's not one of these stalwart pieces that grow with a franchise, a cornerstone tight end like a Mark Andrews. But what we've forgotten this whole time is that David Njoku is still a young man. He's 27 years old. He's born in 96. He's a year younger than I am. And because they stuck with him, because they developed him through multiple regimes, but that this one now believed in him enough as a teammate, as a leader to go through and continue to evolve even through tough times this year. It's embodying the turnaround that this organization is having. A lot of talent, a lot of what if, a lot of potential, but finally going out and being a difference maker and being an answer and being someone who wills a team to victory. I'm so happy for David Njoku with everything that he's been through personally, but also with what he's been through with this team, with guys like Bitonio and guys like Garrett. Stefanski had so many great things to say about him after that win, gave him the game ball, said that the night before they were talking about him, about he embodies everything that a Cleveland Brown is. He has been the bell cow over the past few weeks and a guy who embodies everything that this team will become. He's organic. He grew up in this program. And because of that, the other players who have been drafted since are seeing that, okay, I have an opportunity to stick around. This organization has trust. If I keep showing my potential, they can keep believing in me. I have an opportunity to grow into something greater. We saw the same thing with Grant Delpit, a couple of rough first seasons, then coming up, having a Pro Bowl type year. Sucks that he was injured, but he'll be back. We've seen a culture shift. This team could really do whatever, but they're playing with house money, like you've seen a lot of people saying. Everything that has happened is an indication that this team and the organization, like I said, is moving in the right direction for years and years to come because of the youth and because they played a patient game and they've been patient with Stefanski. It's all coming together beautifully right now. So before we get into the defense, some of the defensive performances who really carried this game, made it possible for this team to have a comeback, let's talk about, again, the man of the hour, the king of Cleveland at the time being Joe Flacco. Goes out, has a pretty tough game all things considered, for the first 3 quarters. 2 of those interceptions really, to me, weren't his fault. On that first one to Cedric Tillman down the seam, that's one where you have the 2 high safeties. That's supposed to be run like a bang 8, where Tillman has to bend in front of that safety. It would have been a big catch, could have been a really big catch and run if that didn't happen. Untimely, backed up in your own end, screwed over. But the defense does enough to keep things somewhat close after that. Then again, the next one that went to Tillman. I know Mark Sanchez was speaking from a quarterback's perspective, saying that that's on Flacco. He has to throw that ball more on the body. But me, being a former receiver, played in university, don't want to keep plugging that, but just got to let you know that's where my perspective's coming from with this opinion. Cedric Tillman has to work with the trajectory of that ball to protect the throw from the other defender and to protect himself. Tillman needs to step in so he can use his back as a defender for himself that the defensive back has to play through, rather than reaching and getting lit up, causing a freak interception that winds up going for a pick 6. Yes, Flacco has to have a better ball there, but they're not always going to be perfect. Your receivers have to help guys out. Then the next one, after the muffed punt later on in the game, Flacco drops back. He was a second late on that seam ball to Njoku. That would have been another huge play for Njoku, but Flacco's just a second off. But again, conditions weren't perfect in that moment, and overall the defense bails them out again. After that, we've seen the low end of what Flacco is. He can be a 3 interception guy. He can be susceptible to turnovers. But the greatest thing is that he's unshakable. He's unflappable. He's completely willing to go back out there and rip the ball deep when he gets the chance to again as the game goes on. And that is the embodiment of this team, where they're never going to say die. They're never going to give up fighting. So with him and the way that Deshaun Watson played against the Ravens game, the way that DTR played against the Steelers after having a bad game and having the chance to have a game-winning drive later on. As long as you give these guys an opportunity at the end of the game, anything is possible. But the way that Flacco's doing it now, and with his arm talent, it just opens up so many possibilities for this offense. Then that tying touchdown to Amari Cooper, that's one of the great throws of the season by any quarterback. Then for Cooper to step up, we all know that he's had some rough games over the past few weeks. To have that play, that erases everything, and that's why you have a guy like Cooper around. What he can do in key moments, he delivers. Sometimes he drops some easy balls, but then he makes a play like that, it just completely washes away all of the sins and makes you believe that, okay, he is our guy. He is the number one. Sure, you have to make some moves in the future because he's getting older, but as of now, he is a win now piece. And just the trust from Flacco to Cooper, and for Cooper to make that play, it's the ultimate eraser for a team, that you can flip the field in one play. You can score in one play because you have a quarterback who's just a gunslinger out there and can make these throws and trusts his receivers to make plays like that. And then conversely, again, earlier on, the throw that kind of got the Browns back in the game, the one to Marquise Goodwin, that deep shot, the one that we've been waiting to see all year with Goodwin. Why they brought him in is to stretch the field like that on those deep diagonal routes. We finally hit one of those, flipped the field, and ultimately that is what got the Browns back in the game. So good on Flacco for having the trust and the confidence to make that play, and Stefanski to call that play and be like, okay, we have been really just trying to nickel and dime. We need a big play now. I trust my guys. Let's dial one up, hit this shot deep, and get back in this game. And that is exactly what happened. And that's what I'm trying to reference in terms of having an eraser in your back pocket. If you have this kind of defense, obviously you want your offense to just be blowing teams out, but with all of the injuries that we don't need to keep listing because we all know about them, sometimes you're just going to have plays like that. And going on a playoff run, that's kind of all you need. You need guys who can stretch the field, a quarterback who can make the throws, playmakers who can do stuff after the catch, and you're kind of always going to be in it as long as the defense can hold a team to 17 points, 20 points. Flacco's play of the day outside of that Amari Cooper throw, I mean, we all saw it. David Njoku coming through in the clutch, angry run, probably going to win another shirt from Kyle Brannigan on NFL Network to set up that game-winning field goal. It was just so beautiful, and what this city has been craving, what this fan base has been craving for so long. We used to watch Browns games and just sit and wait and hope for someone to make a play, but now we have those players by name. In those big moments, we could say, okay, we got to go to Njoku here. We got to get him involved. We got to go to Cooper here. We got to get him involved. And one final note in terms of offensive stuff, I want to talk about Cedric Tillman for a minute, because I know he had those 2 mistakes that, to me, I firmly place those on him, not on Flacco. Once he gets to a point where he doesn't have to think when he's out on the field, when he can just go out and be a playmaker, I think he's going to be a true number 1 option. I think that you can keep Cooper around, you can kind of let him age out, and then by that time, Cedric Tillman will be this team's number 1 option. His burst after the catch, his physicality and elusiveness with the ball in his hands, but more than anything, the way he catches the ball with his hands, he's going to be a stud. You can see it. And if you gave up on him and chose to push him to the back and do what the Browns did a couple years ago, where you bring in Austin Hooper, which to me was one of the worst free agent signings that this front office has really had, you're going to squash his development. I think that bringing in Austin Hooper kind of detracted from David Njoku's growth for those couple of seasons. You have to put that same trust that you put in Njoku for all those years into Tillman. He's still such a young player. I think he's only 21 years old. He's a rookie. He's having some tough times, but he's stepping into a role and he's making plays when the ball comes his way for the most part. When he's in the right position, when he does the fundamentals in terms of alignment and his play responsibility, he's making plays. Then you've got this defense once again shows up when it matters most. I mentioned in the previous video and in the game preview on the Optimistic Fan Club podcast, which you should definitely subscribe to, link below, the Bears were going to be a bit of a problem. I believed it, and they were. Some people were saying the Bears aren't that dangerous, you don't have to worry. Justin Fields is an amazing athlete. He's probably top 3 athletes in the league as a whole. He gave the team some problems. Cole Kmet was a really good tight end. We saw that. Bears also gave us some gift, dropped a for sure touchdown to Robert Tonyan. But overall, this defense just was disruptive. Greg Newsome showing up, improving. Since that Denver game, that guy has been on a mission. He's playing so much more aggressive in the run game. When balls get swung out to the flats, he's closing faster. He's making tackles on bigger players. Then you have JOK, who's turning into a true all-pro linebacker. And he's another guy who's like 24, 25 years old. He is so young still, and you've seen him put on a little bit of size this year. He could be that leader. He could be that Ray Lewis. Then again, like we mentioned before, the front office bringing in D'Anthony Bell, getting Ronnie Hickman as an undrafted free agent. You really didn't notice. If you were just a casual fan or not a fan of the Browns, you'd turn on this game, you wouldn't notice that the 2 starting safeties, or 3 starting safeties for that matter, are injured and out. They stepped up big and just did their job. Jim Schwartz, kudos to him for getting these guys prepared and ready to go to war, but you didn't really hear their names. They actually did make some plays. D'Anthony Bell had that game-winning interception. Ronnie Hickman made some great plays as well throughout the game, but you didn't hear them in terms of them getting burned. So just great job by those young guys stepping up. And another young guy and the winner of the first ever Kid Cudi bobblehead night, unspoken player of the game. Yes, that's a real award, people. Here we go. The first ever Kid Cudi bobblehead night, Cleveland Guardians player of the game for an unspoken play that really made such a difference. Cam Mitchell, the rookie out of Northwestern. That tackle on that 4th down gamble that the Bears go for, Justin Fields rolls out and Cam Mitchell gets a shoelace to stop him inches short from the first down. That play was unspoken greatness. To chase him down, dive, and just clip his toe, stop him, that was enormous. And another piece of homegrown talent, a young player, a rookie out of Northwestern, coming out and making a play like that in the grand scheme of things saves the game. Fantastic play, and just once again embodying the grit and the culture change that this team has, making plays that we would always see Polamalu make for the Steelers or Ed Reed make for the Ravens. Even those younger, smaller pieces on those teams who stepped up and made huge plays that go generally unnoticed. That is what this culture and organization is moving towards. So as we get into the final minutes of this video, of this week's recap, I feel like the Kevin Stefanski is a bad head coach and a bad play caller rhetoric is officially kind of dead, or at least until the next loss. Hopefully there's not any more of those this season, but I feel like largely people have come around on Stefanski. We've been preaching it for day one. I know a lot of people who watch this page have believed in him and aren't those negative, pessimistic fans who just flip just because of one bad play call or one bad game. He will grow. He has grown as a leader, as a play caller. His emotion shows more. The team feeds off of it. They believe in him. And with the youth ingrained in this squad, you can't give up on that. They have actually built an ecosystem and a culture of perseverance, and that is what matters more than anything. There was another moment in that game where Stefanski's ability as a play caller could have been called into question, and this is something we talked about last week. The perception of good play caller versus bad play caller largely comes down to player execution. Think that fourth down, they go for it, bring in DTR, throw that screen to Jerome Ford, and they get the first down. If that doesn't work out, Browns Twitter's freaking out. Stefanski gets too cute once again. Turnover on downs. We could have had points. What are we doing? Instead, it does work out, and people go, Stefanski, good play call, bring in DTR, gives the illusion of it could be a run or a pass. He's so dynamic. Amazing call by Stefanski. We have to stop being so haphazard in our judgment. It has to come down to, how did this team do at the end of the season? If that was a play Stefanski called in the Super Bowl and it lost you the game, then that's something to be upset about. But we have to stop being so reactionary to how we define good play caller, bad play caller, good head coach, bad player with Njoku 5 years ago, or even last year, or even 3 weeks ago, to he's the heart and soul of this team. We should have the faith that this team is working in the right direction because they have shown us that over the past 4 years. Yes, you had 2 down years in the middle. Last year was a complete write-off. We can't argue for or against that. Those were the Joe Woods dark days. But now we are seeing a return to that 2020 squad. This team is poised to continue moving forward year in and year out. And next year will have enough problems and questions of its own in terms of Deshaun Watson coming back. What happens if Joe Flacco does the unthinkable and wins the Super Bowl? Who knows? We can worry about that later on. We don't need to worry about that now. All we need to know and believe and trust in is that this team, this head coach, this GM, this core of players who have been brought up through the Browns organization believes in new things and is not tied to the failures of the past. This is something early on in the season. Week 1, actually, this was before week 1 when I did my NFL preview where I guessed every team's record and who would go to the playoffs. I said that the Browns would be a 12-5 team, and that was with the assumption that Nick Chubb would be around, that Deshaun Watson would be the starting quarterback, that this defense would be so much improved with Jim Schwartz. And there have been a million curveballs since then, but this team is still, even with everything that has transpired, is still in realistic shooting distance of finishing 12-5. So that is the mark of a great organization, of what is becoming a great organization, of what will become a respected organization in the future. It's going to be so exciting to watch this season finish out. You just have to keep the perspective. Joe Flacco's our quarterback. Anything good can happen. Anything beyond getting to the playoffs is all gravy. So I wouldn't have it any other way. So happy to be a Browns fan on this beautiful day heading into the Christmas season. So now let's get to some gift giving. For the first 5 people who do these couple of things, I am going to send you free stickers. You don't have to pay for anything, not shipping, not anything. You're getting one of these and one of these. So you must first subscribe to the YouTube channel. Then you must subscribe to the Spotify feed or the Anchor feed to the Optimistic Fan Club podcast. Then from there, tweet to me that you have done both of them and follow me on Twitter too. So you got to subscribe on YouTube, you got to subscribe to the podcast, then follow me on Twitter and just tweet at me that you have done it. I will check to verify. The first 5 people that do it getting these stickers free of charge for everything for Christmas. I will send them out as soon as it happens. And that'll be very fun because I really want to build up this podcast. It's unedited, unlike these videos, and it's a lot of great stuff. I also released the instant reactions, did the first one Sunday night, came out at 10 p.m. Everyone who subscribes to the feed listened to it, so I thank you so much that you did that, but looking to keep doing those. So on the 24th, I believe when the Browns play, I'm going to put out a very late Christmas Eve instant reaction, regardless of win or loss. So you can get all those there, but we're also releasing an episode each week where we're talking about general NFL stuff as well, which is what I want, because the offseason, it's hard to just talk about the Browns. We'll always make time for the Browns, but you guys are NFL fans too. Let's talk about some general NFL, talk about some Nick Sirianni conspiracy theories, all those kinds of things. But with that being said, you guys can grab these stickers as well. If you're not one of those 5 who wins and gets the free ones, you can buy these on the site, link below, a little card popping up right now where you can click the link and buy them. Also, even if you don't win, subscribe to the page and to the podcast as well. That really helps things out. But guys, Merry Christmas. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a blessed holiday and you just enjoy the time with your family. Go Brownies. Merry Christmas. Love you all.